Agenda today, Carla and I are going to give a brief presentation. We'll try to keep it brief. And then, usually in the US, something that's common after the president gives his, or hopefully soon to be her, State of the Union address, there will be a reaction. So people are able to give their 2 cents and their responses to that State of the Network address. And so we want to definitely save as much time as we can in order to have people's reactions, ideas, and discussion about what we've just shared with you. First of all, I just wanted to share where in the world we are in UC Links, and you can see that there are UC Links or UC Links related programs in about 5 out of 7 continents. So we're in Europe, on the continent of Africa, we're in South America, we're in North America, and we're in Asia. So we're going to put this link up on our website so you can start to interact with this a little bit more, but just wanted to be able to graphically represent this. Okay. And so I wanted to start out with a little bit of context first, and thinking locally. In Berkeley, we have the UC Links statewide office. We receive funding for the programs that are connected with the University of California campuses throughout the state. I guess it's funny, I was thinking about it recently. We call it the UC Links statewide office, but the network is really so much bigger than the state of California, as we'll talk about more today. But just thinking about locally, where I'm physically located in Berkeley, and the statewide office is located in the Graduate School of Education on the UC Berkeley campus. And there's the local context is amazingly dynamic at this moment. So we have multiple transitions occurring at the same time. So we all know that our amazing champion, Charles Underwood, retired on July 1, and I took over as the interim executive director. And we also added the amazing Carla Trujillo of the La Colonia de Eden Gardens and La Casa Mágica fame. So she's been a spectacular addition to the statewide office. Unfortunately, we're not able to work side by side as we usually would, but we're working side by side virtually while she's in San Diego. Another transition that's occurring in the Graduate School of Education at UC Berkeley is that the dean, who has been the dean for about the last 5 years and who knows UC Links well and me, is retiring as of July 1st. And we don't currently know who the new dean will be. So that's just another bit of excitement and dynamic context that we're kind of living and working in. Hi, Mike. I see that you joined too. Good to see you. So stepping back a bit, while in the UC context, the UC Links program is also situated within the University of California Office of the President. So while our office is on the Berkeley campus, we work across the UC system. And so UC Links is a strategy and an initiative of the University of California Office of the President as well. And so this UCOP context that we need to navigate, and this context is also in the middle of more transitions. So UC Links used to be housed within part of the Office of Diversity and Engagement. And that was reorganized. UCOP has done some reorganizing, and now they've created something called the Graduate, Undergraduate, and Equity Affairs. And I think the idea is that instead of having diversity and engagement kind of siloed in its own department, they wanted to consolidate several units together and include, just recognize that diversity and engagement is a key part across K-12 and also higher education. And so that just occurred in the fall. I learned about it in the fall. We were all kind of oriented to it. Also in the fall, the UC system has a new president now also. So there's lots and lots of change going on within the UC environment as well. You can see here these programs are all of the key initiatives or units that are under the umbrella of the graduate, undergraduate, and equity affairs. The outreach and educational partnerships is where UC Links is situated. And some of you may remember, especially the people in California, down even another level, UC Links is part of the student academic preparation and educational partnerships. We call it SAPEP. And so this is just a little image that was shared with us in the fall when we were all oriented to this new context of how this work is organized at the UC level. Piece of really good news is that the person who oversees graduate, undergraduate, and equity affairs is the same person who did oversee the diversity and engagement office, Yvette Gulat. She and Charles had a very close relationship, and she knows UC Links very well. So that is great for us. The person who is heading up the unit, the Outreach and Educational Partnerships unit, also knew the work of Deb McCoy at UC Berkeley. And Charles and I had talked with her about a year and a half ago in another, when talking about expanding some of Deb's Y Plan work. And she was also, again, knowledgeable about UC Links. And so I am busy developing and cultivating that relationship. Here's a kind of an overview of the kind of things that the Office of Outreach and Educational Partnerships wants to advance this year. And so they really are focused on encouraging collaboration, building new coalitions with strategic partners. We've already talked about how UC Links has great models for doing that. And so I will continue to reach out to the people, to Sandra and her team, to help make sure that they're not reinventing the wheel, and that they can hopefully draw on some of the expertise that we have here. I think that's about it for the UC context. And again, Carla and I'll be happy to ask any questions. So save whatever questions you might have, or put them in all the various ways, and we will get to them at one time period. So diving into California, I'm going to hand this over to Carla, because Carla has taken a deep dive into all of the end of year report data that the California programs have to share. So every year, as part of our reporting to help satisfy our requirements for the University of California, we have to give over lots of demographic and also program data on the impact that UC Links is having across the state. UC Links PIs have worked really hard to have some voice and advocacy in what this assessment looks like. And so we continue to do that every year. And I think we have a really strong model. And so Carla has really, like I said, jumped into all of these data. So she's now a great expert, and I'll let her share this section. Jump in, Carla.
Thank you, Mara. I'm only an expert because I had to go and look at all the work that all of you do. And I was pleasantly surprised, because it was, UC Links is such a hard concept to understand. If you're just barely coming in, you don't really understand the great scope. And, you're looking at a map and you're like, wow, that's all the sites that we're at. And so one of the things that I was pleasantly surprised with was that it's not K through 12, which is what I'm usually, used to seeing, but it's P through 12. And so I asked Mara what P stood for, and she was like preschool. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So to me, seeing that there's 15 faculty members who are PIs in the system, I'm so honored to be working with all of you, first of all, and that we're at 7 UC campuses. That is a wonderful, just a wonderful number to see. We have 28 sites, and I think of the site that I worked at, and I see the diversity at our site. Which made me start thinking about, okay, how many people do we really reach? And then you look at like 3,069 participants. That's a lot. We are doing a lot to help and support the communities of California and around the world. If we're looking at these numbers just in California alone, that's 3,069 students that we're engaging with and that we're hopefully preparing to go to school, to the university. And even just engaging with them, right? That we give them love and they give us love back. And beyond that, that we look at the little faces and we know that we're doing the right work. And with that said, right, you look that we have 655 undergraduates. I'm an undergraduate, and I'm so grateful that the undergraduates here come and they really give of their heart and of their time, right? I can think of the undergraduates at UCSD. One of the ones before me was Nick, and he made such a difference in La Clase de Mágica just with his presence. And then, we have 39 graduate students. Thank you, graduate students, right? Shout out to John. So, as we move back, I guess I wasn't as surprised to see that 68% of the participants are from low income backgrounds. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that 59% of them, might become first generation college students. And that includes me right there, right? And 37% are learning English. And I know a little boy that arrived here from Mexico a year ago, and he spoke no English. And then I saw him at one of our drive-through art shows the other day, and you could hear him speaking so much clearer, and his English is getting better. So, like, we do have to take these numbers into consideration. I guess one of the things that I wasn't surprised about was like the number of Latinx kids that we serve. I wasn't surprised, but I was happy to see what the numbers there were. And if you look at the beautiful pie chart, right? I love pie charts. Thank you for creating this, Mara. You see across ethnicities who we serve, and we really are a diverse group. And so I think that everyone here should be proud of yourselves for the work that you're doing and have been doing continually. Like some of you have been doing this for a long time. But then, what are we gauging? So, you look here, P to eighth grade participants, we're gauging their literacy, right? And those literacies come in different forms. So then you have digital literacy, and then you can see the growth too if you're looking across this. But so we have two graphs here. One of them is for 9 to 12, and the other one's from P to 8. But you could see the digital literacy for the P to 8 is just off the chart, right? They're learning what it means to be engaged online. But one of the things that I love more than anything about these numbers and on both charts is the critical thinking and global citizenship, which I think it's something that is essential in the world that we're living in, and that we're more virtual. And so we're learning how to be these engaged global citizens that, are respectful of the things that we post online, of the way that we're learning how to engage, especially in this time of pandemic, and that we're more connecting digitally, that we can see that the direct work that we're doing with our students is growing. And you can see here in the we've grown over time. And so I think that at some point during the day today, that you should take a time to pat yourself in the back or give yourself some applause, because this is all done thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you. You all have a piece to share, and I'm just the person behind the scenes reading the numbers. And I appreciate it for you filling out your yearly report, because when I get to look at the numbers, it really gives me the encouragement to continue doing this work and to continue learning from all of you.
And can I just jump in also that this is the place where you can really see how the UC Links PIs in California, are the people who have really defined what and how we assess what it means to have an impact on as the students that we work with have what their engagement looks like over time. So are we impacting our students more engaged in literacy activities, digital literacy activities, and critical thinking and global and more engaged as global citizens over time after participation? And so, as Carla said, you can see, especially in the P through 8 children, there's much more growth between the pre-test and the post-test. There's much more change over time. And there's less so, especially with the digital literacy among the 9th through 12th grade students. And I think there's a number of reasons for this. Part of it is that we're seeing a ceiling effect, that the students are already very engaged by the time that they are coming to us. I think it's interesting, and I think encouraging, that the place where there is the most growth is that with critical thinking and with global citizenship, which seems developmentally appropriate. And also, just in terms of statistically, the numbers, we have far fewer numbers of 9th through 12th grade students. And so the numbers are not as robust as those with the K through 12 participants. And one more, looking at the activity level. This is the range of activities. Carla, did you want to finish up with this one, or do you want me to do this one?
You could do that one. I guess my 2 cents on this is that, as an undergraduate who has been at a site, a UC Link site, we have the opportunity, and I think at least where I worked, right, that we get to bring all of our creativity. We get to bring in all of the things that, we're excited about, and that we have the youth who are so open and receptive to learning from us, and that we learn from them as well, right? Like that's the UC Links, I don't want to say the model, but that's like the UC Links example of, we're going in and we're not teaching them, right? We're learning from them and they're learning from us. And so that's like the beautiful thing about being part of this UC Links network, is that you're learning as you're teaching, and that you get the opportunities to collaborate and engage with students and, the teachers in that way.
Yep, agreed. Thank you. So for the types of activities, we have types of activities for undergrads, and we have types of activities for graduate students. And I think the take home is that all of the students that we're working with are receiving some form of mentoring or academic enrichment, participating in community-based research. We have 3,069 K through 12 or P through 12 participants, and almost all of them are receiving mentoring and academic enrichment just by the nature of participating in these activities. And there's a range of other activities as well, and the same with the undergraduates. Okay. Great. So zooming out a bit, so that's kind of a snapshot of what's going on across the network in terms of California, in terms of some of the things that we report to UCOP. Zooming out a little bit just to the statewide context, and thinking about opportunities to engage beyond our UC Links network. Right now, it's a really important time, obviously, given the pandemic and responses to the pandemic. But the role of after school or expanded learning in general is really being recognized and brought to the forefront. So Governor Newsom in California and the legislature actually have proposed $4.6 billion to support academic achievement by offering supplemental instruction and support. And there's a bill right now, Senate bill and Assembly bill. It's the exact same, 86, and they're trying to work out the details. But basically, school districts they're encouraging school districts to plan, engage, and collaborate on program operation with community partners and expanded learning programs. And so I know a lot of the work that a lot of you are doing, I know Glenda Hull in particular, and Adrian at UC Berkeley are really working to blur these lines between what in school and after school mean. And it's really encouraging that that statewide that's actually being supported as well, in terms of the language that's going into these bills. And those are going to be moving along really quickly. So for people who do have school partners in California and are working in California, it's time to really, there's opportunities here for institutional support of your work and being able to make an impact with your school partners during the school day and in supplemental learning and expanded learning programs. So just wanted to highlight that. And we have a link to that bill in the slides. And it's something to be paying attention to if you are working with schools. It's just another way to partner, and that the legislation is actually encouraging you to partner with the school partners right now. The California Department of Education Expanded Learning Division, they've really stepped up, and they're making all sorts of changes to language, allowing there to be more flexibility in the funding for after school programs. And they're also they've created these virtual fireside chats, and there's a link to those. And Michael Funk, who is the director of the Expanded Learning Division, is just a huge advocate and champion for expanded learning programs. And he is often highlighting other programs as well. And so those are really great resources. Also, I worked with a California Department of Education communications work group for some time before the pandemic. So I had an opportunity, I was selected to participate in that, and I had an opportunity to both share kind of best practices about for UC Links on a statewide platform, and was also able to learn more and be involved on a statewide level. And I just also recently applied to be part of the leadership team for the California After School Network. And so again, just as a way to share the UC Links model and best practices, and then strengthen connections with the larger after school and expanded learning field in our state. Finally, for some of you may remember from a long time ago, back when UC Links had a presence in Fresno, there was a really dynamic person who was involved there, Joe Castro, and he is now the chancellor for the California State Universities. And so we have a friendly UC Links knowledgeable partner who's running our partner institution, public institution at the university level in California. And so I'm hoping that there will be ways for us to make connections with Joe in his new capacity. There's other resources in here as well, lots going on, I think, in California. It's a great time, and I think a good opportunity for us to be working in this area of expanded learning, and hopefully help to inform some folks along the way about some new models on how to continue this work.